It started when I was at my job and I didn't want to work anymore. I was like tired of working, and I searched, how can I stop working sooner?
Thank you for joining us. Tell us about yourself and your background.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Leila Kartforosh. I'm a finance YouTuber and financial coach. My background is not in finance, actually. I majored in biology. I became a microbiologist, transitioned careers into Salesforce consulting, but in the background, I was always building up my business of being on YouTube, talking about finances, as well as financial coaching. So I am now doing that full time. I help people to budget, to save, pay down debt, that sort of thing, work on their financial mindset, and document my own journey.
What is it about finance that's so interesting to you that you made it the focus of your content platform?
Yeah, so back when I graduated from college, from my master's program, I had a lot of debt. I reached my highest point of debt in June of 2018. That was over $82,000, and I was like, okay, I got to get serious about my own finances. So I became obsessed, actually, and just because of my own financial situation, I started learning to budget, learning to save, track my spending, and that's where it all started. So I really dove into like the blogs, the podcasts, all the things that I could consume with finances, and it quickly became an obsession and a passion of mine. So it's just from my own experience with finances that it happened.
Who were some of your financial influences?
So the biggest one I would say is Choose FI, which is a podcast focused on financial independence. They've shaped a lot of my situation now. In the past, like when I was first getting out of college and like the personal development side of things, it would be like Tony Robbins and Gary Vee. I really like listened to them for motivation and the business side of things, I suppose. And with the financial independence movement, I did get into that at one point more heavily, the retire early movement, and that was like Mr. Money Mustache and all of those really hardcore individuals. But yeah, there's quite a few people who've played a role in my situation.
When you think about financial education right now, where do you see the biggest need, particularly for people that are consuming your content?
I think the biggest need is probably awareness of finances, and I mean, it's kind of just reiterating your question, just the education on it. But I think it kind of starts in the household. It needs to be, we can teach it in schools and stuff, but it's really about what parents are showing their children, even like their siblings or something, just being an example. And if you're starting you're in childhood and you're poor or whatever the situation may be, it is hard to escape that because it's all that you've known. So I think I would say financial education just in general. So I think we're getting better at that because we have all these free resources. Technology has opened that up. But getting even education at an early age in schools and stuff is going to be a huge impact.
Money and budgeting conversations in the household can be difficult sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you encourage people to start that dialogue in their own house?
Be an example. So just if you are going to the grocery store with your children or something, or even with your spouse, like, oh, hey, I made a list. This is our budget, and explain what a budget is. Just be an example for everything that you're doing, even if it's with investing. Like you can show that to your children. Like they may not listen to it at first, but at least you're bringing those topics into conversation so that, a couple years from now, they at least will be like, oh yeah, my mom and dad were talking about, or whatever the situation is, that my parents were showing me that they did that, and then I feel like that will help them to lead by example, or they will follow your example rather.
When you think about investing, what features do you look for in an investing app?
User interface, so user-friendly and clean. And I really like being able to have control and kind of being able to see my progress, look at the data type of thing.
You're really busy. How do you stay up to date with financial information?
YouTube. I'll just play it while I'm washing the dishes, or podcasts while I'm driving. So I also like to browse on Google News or something, whatever the case may be, and if I have some free time, I'll usually just listening to it is the main thing, and just while I'm living my life.
Are there any particular comments on your YouTube videos that really stand out for you?
I really appreciate the positive comments. In my community is very positive, which I greatly appreciate. It's amazing when people tell me like, oh, I started my Roth IRA because of you, or I opened my high yield savings account because of you. That's pretty crazy, you know, like I made a difference in their financial life, and that's powerful. So I know other people made that impact on my life. So to be able to be that for somebody else is amazing. Like any of those that are telling me they opened up a Roth because of me, or that they, when people say they're really proud of me, like that's amazing that you're a stranger and saying that to me. You know, they've watched my journey. They've seen me be in deep amounts of debt to reaching over 100K net worth, and it's absolutely fulfilling for me. But I think those are the biggest, where they did something because I taught them how to do it, or talked about it myself.
For anyone that's looking to start their investment journey, what tips do you offer to them?
Educate yourself on investing. Find out, one, you need to get down to your financial goals. So if you want to retire early, that's going to play a big role in your investment journey. If you want to retire at traditional age, that's important to consider. If you want to take a sabbatical or some mini retirements, that's going to be important to consider, because there's different ways to invest, different platforms to invest in, different index funds, ETFs, that sort of thing. So just make sure you figure out what it is that you want to do with your life, and do your investing that way. And you can start small. I think that's my other tip too. It doesn't need to be thousands of dollars, even if it's just $20 bucks a month. That is going to take you a lot further than nothing at all. Personal finance is personal. So always do your own research, and always ask yourself what it is that you really want. It doesn't have to be a scary thing, but I would say just really educate yourself before diving into investing.
For anyone that's looking at starting budgeting, what tips do you offer to them?
So find what works for you, whether that be an app, spreadsheet, paper and pen. That's really important. And then make sure that you are budgeting on a monthly basis. So you may not get your budget perfect the first time, and that is okay. So just make your budget. It can be a rough budget for the upcoming month. And then as you go through that month, you need to track your spending, because that's going to be where you really determine where your money is going. And then keep on repeating that. So you do, every month is different. So make your budget again for the upcoming month, and look at what you did the past month in order to create that budget. So just keep refining.
How can people balance their spending needs with their future financial goals?
Yeah, so that can be tricky. I think one of the most important things is increasing your income, because there's only so much that you can cut back. So if you can, widen that gap between your expenses and your income, so decreasing your expenses or maintaining them, and increasing your income, that's going to help tremendously. But with your financial goals, it's really, you've got to figure out what it is that is most important to you, prioritize by that importance, and you do want to enjoy life while you're paying down debt, while you're budgeting, saving, that sort of thing. But also keep in mind that you are going to age, and there's going to be a point where you are going to want money in the future, and a lot of money. So just always have that in the back of your mind. And you can focus on multiple goals at once, or you can do one at a time. Just find what works best for you.
Do you have any moments that you can recall that made you fall in love with investing?
With investing, I think really it started when I was at my job, and I didn't want to work anymore. I was like tired of working, and I searched, how can I stop working sooner? And that's how I found the financial independent retire early movement, or the FIRE movement. And I found like Mr. Money Mustache and stuff. And that opened a whole new world for me. That's how I found Choose FI and all the other people that I started watching. And I think that's when I was like, okay, investing is cool. I was still on my debt-free journey at that point, but I was slowly investing. And ever since then, it's just been only investing and saving after paying off of all of my debt off. And I think, I wouldn't say when I was younger, like much younger, I was paying attention to it. Like I was aware of it, but wasn't a big part of my life until I started working, and I was like, I don't want to do this forever. So how can I speed up this process and invest as much as I can? So yeah.
Do you have any insight on why younger people may be more intimidated by investing?
It sounds scary, and it can be intimidating for sure. If you don't know what you're doing, it's hard to pick the platform. It's hard to figure out, what do I invest in? There's all these people that are talking about oh, you should do this, you should do that. Who do you listen to? So it makes sense on why people are intimidated by it, but it's really not that scary once you just learn the basics. Once you start, I think really the important thing is doing that on your own. You know, like you've got to learn it yourself and take that into your own hands. It does look intimidating, but it is not. Like, just find somebody who you resonate with, whether that be a podcaster, a YouTuber, a blogger, myself, you know, and listen to what they have to teach about investing, and you can then go on and do your own research.
How do you curate the content that you produce? Is it planned in advance, or is it based on trends in the market?
I don't do too much on trends in the market. A lot of my content is based on my own journey. So I documented my own journey of getting out of debt, and now I share all of my numbers on my YouTube channel and share my income, my spending, my business expenses. Everything with my numbers is out there in the world. So a lot of my content is just based around me and my own experiences. I kind of created my content around what I'm going through in life. So in the beginning, it was a lot more focused on debt and paying off debt, student loans, that sort of thing. And now I am more so talking about investing and wealth building. So usually I'm not too big on trends because I don't pay attention too closely with them. And I just like to talk about what I enjoy talking about, which is personal finance.